Hello, everybody, and welcome to DreamHack Atlanta 2018. My name is Cora Georgiou, and joining me to kick off today's festivities, we have Dr. Jikaninki and Lorinda standing at the desk. We also have That's Admirable waiting in the wings. He will be joining us for the second round of Swiss today. How are you guys doing? Jace, I know for you it must be quite nice to be back in Atlanta specifically.
Oh, yeah. Atlanta is, one of the events I'm known for. Obviously, I don't know if a word on the street.
Really?
I may have taken an Atlanta title last year. I don't know if y'all were familiar.
You may have mentioned it in the back a little bit.
I may have mentioned it quite a bit, but no, I'm actually really excited to be here in Atlanta to, just crown another champion. DreamHacks are always some of my favorite events. Glad to be back on the desk.
Yes, for all you at home who are not aware, Dr. Jikaninki is in fact the reigning DreamHack Atlanta champion. Going to be on the desk this time around instead of playing. It's maybe a little bit bittersweet, but really awesome having you here. And then Lorinda, all the way from the UK yet again. You must be quite tired at this point. You've been doing a lot of traveling.
We're good for now. I'm living on energy products for the time being. We'll see how it goes as the weekend goes by. But yeah, I'm good for now. I'm always hyped to be at DreamHack. It just gets me going the second we walk through this building. It's just so great to see all the players accumulating. They're all hyped to play, so why shouldn't I be hyped as well?
Well, we do have a lot of players who are very excited to be getting this show on the road. Over 200 players have signed up. We'll get final numbers on all who have checked in today. We're going to be playing 5 total rounds today, 4 rounds of Swiss tomorrow, and then we will cut to the top 16. The final day on Sunday will be the top 8 through crowning our new DreamHack Atlanta champion. I'm especially excited to be here because this is the final North American DreamHack event for the year. We're going to be going to Sweden for DreamHack Winter in just a couple weeks, but this is it for the North American DreamHack circuit for the year. So again, a little bit bittersweet, but it's been an incredible year. So I'm very excited to see who is going to rise to the top amongst this awesome field of players we've got. And a couple key points to keep in mind for this weekend. This is the last points earning event for Season 3 of the Hearthstone Championship Tour seasons. That means that players who are looking for that playoff qualification and some players who are looking for that Masters tier qualification are going to be relying on points from this weekend and from this last month of ladder to get them what they are looking for. And one of those players in particular, we have Seiko, who is here looking for a top 2 finish to be guaranteed Masters Tier 3. That's quite a task to accomplish.
It's really crazy, although the way this season's worked out, everything we say, oh, this guy needs to do this, they just seem to win the event. He has said he's top 25 on all 3 servers right now. And if he only gets top 4 finish, if he can finish at first on any of those servers, he could do it that way as well. But top 2 is what he really needs, because obviously getting number 1, 25s for that guy are easy, but 1's always that little bit harder somehow. There's always some guy like 12 wins ahead of everybody.
Oh yeah, getting rank 1 legend is just ridiculous at times. Like, I mean, you have to win like 5 games on rank 2, and then you're still stuck at rank 2, and you're trying to figure out like what went wrong, and then you realize you just can't take it from that person.
Yeah, I mean, it completely depends on the players around you who's queuing at that point in time, who really needs those points and just wants to try and stick on whatever rank it might be. You know, it's a crapshoot sometimes, but Seiko, he's a guy who can absolutely get the job done, so we're going to be following him over the course of this weekend, seeing how he is going to be doing, but we've got some incredible players. Other than that, we have all of Team Tempo Storm here, including Just Saiyan, who just this past weekend won the WESG USA Finals and will be advancing to the Global Finals in China in March, I believe it is.
Yeah, I think so, later next year. Anyway, do we get bored of saying, oh, just saying last weekend just won another thing? It just seems to be the introduction for every show in the last 3 months has been how he's won.
I'm starting to lose fingers for how many things he's won. I don't
Does he take a finger off you when he wins?
I wouldn't have a hand. He just won everything at this point. It's absolutely insane.
Well, and more importantly, he is the winner of the most recent North American DreamHack Montreal. So we'll be keeping an eye on him, even though he has already qualified for the World Championships. Muzzy and Amnesiac, not quite there with him just yet, although it's looking like Muzzy may get there through last call points. But we can take a look at our first series of the day. It's going to be Canadian fan favorite Purple taking on a relative unknown by the name of Shubox. And Purple, I actually saw him just before running backstage to get this started, and he said, yep, Shubox, he says he's a size 11, so I feel like I'm going to be okay.
That's such a Purple thing to say.
I'm not really entirely sure how to interpret that, but you know what? It made sense in the moment, so I'm
size
just running
11?
with it.
I wear a 9.5. I'm intimidated now. Purple thinks 11 is just okay.
Any old shoe size.
Maybe Canadian sizes are different to USA
that's fair. That's what I'm more excited about is Purple has some whack stuff up his sleeve. In his lineup, he has 4 I'm repeating this again. 4 King Muklas.
But you're only allowed one per deck.
Death Rattle Hunter.
1 per deck, 4 decks. Oh my god.
I could
You're kidding.
That thing.
even in Death Rattle Hunter, running Kathrina Winterwisp, Purple has elected to run King Mukla, which can be pulled by Kathrina Winterwisp instead of, I don't know, a 3/12 with Taunt or a King Crush. It's a really, I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It's a really Purple lineup. His decks are solid, but just, you know, splash a King Mukla in each one, see how it works out. It's a very aggressive choice. If you can stick it on turn 3, it can swing some games, but we're going to have to see if that maybe comes back to bite him with that Hunter deck in particular. And Shubox, have you ever heard of Shubox?
He doesn't register on my scale at all, which is pretty unusual. So, might be his first event. I don't like to swear to that, but it looks like he's probably just here for the convention and into the tournament.
Yeah.
Is the usual guess in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, we do get a lot of course, very popular, very competitive Hearthstone players here, but Atlanta's a big region. There's a lot of Hearthstone fans here as well who just want to come out to the convention because, I mean, this convention is huge. This convention is so much more than just the Hearthstone Grand Prix. We're in a corner, and then there's like high-res, and there's tons of other stuff going on. So if you are in the building, welcome. I hope you enjoy it. And it is going to be exciting to see if we're going to get some of those relative unknowns putting up really nice results this weekend, because historically we've had some relative unknowns making it to top 16, top 8, even top 4. We've not had a relative unknown win a DreamHack in quite a while.
That is Atlanta last year, I believe.
Were you calling me a relative unknown in Atlanta last year?
You had won the
Lorinda.
America's Championship by that point, but everybody just kind of wrote you off. And now you're all washed up and you're on the desk, so.
You know what? Look who I'm with.
We sacrifice our dignity
else.
for the guaranteed payout, that's for sure. But here we can see Shubox prep, and it looks like he's got a Zoo deck as well as that Hunter that we saw on the screen from him just before. Or he's completely messing with us because he's taken the interesting strategy that is build a whole lot of decks and hope that you don't click on the wrong one accidentally.
That doesn't end well very often. We've seen that go wrong so often.
The worst part about it is if the deck is very similar to another deck, you wouldn't even notice it till halfway through. You finally realize it and you're like, you raise your hand, admin, I'm sorry.
I have something to confess.
I have something to confess.
I'm definitely the kind of player that if I'm playing in a tournament, my 18 deck slots, everything's gone. It doesn't matter what I'm playing.
Oh, only the 4
decks
decks
And I've just got the 4 decks, and they're like numbered. So I try to minimize disaster as much as I possibly can, but it looks like Shubox is making some last-minute changes here, even as it's about to get into round number 1. And you certainly, Dr. J, know what it's like to go into a tournament like this. As, you know, you were a relative unknown, not, you know, about 2 years ago now. A lot of stress coming in and playing against very competitive, high, well-known players, yeah?
Oh, it's crazy. I remember my first event, the America's Playoffs, when I started doing fairly well. It was just name after name, Zalay, Amnesiac, just all of these names just kept piling up, and I was like, you just have to kind of go in and treat it like it's just another game of Hearthstone. And it's very hard to do, especially when you have that pressure on your back of just being the underdog, essentially. But like I said, you just got to treat it like another game of Hearthstone.
Does that flip around when you go the other way? So when you're playing against an unknown guy and you know it's like a convention visitor or something, do you have to really struggle to concentrate rather than just take it too easy? Because those guys are often pretty good.
That's a difficult one as well, especially with a lot of players. They've, you know, over time the player base has been becoming more and more impressive with their play style and, you know, how well they've been doing in these tournaments. So you honestly can't take anybody for granted. You have to kind of accept everybody as a major threat, and I'm sure Purple will do that and respect his opponent, Shubox.
Yeah, I mean, Purple's been around the block for pretty much the entire existence of Hearthstone. He knows what he's doing. Going to be interesting to see how Shubox measures up and the exact decks that he's brought. We are currently just waiting for the bans. And in that moment in time, I'd like to tell you that we are playing best of 5 last hero standing. I don't get to say that too much, pretty much only at DreamHack events nowadays, but it's not Conquest, guys, it's LHS. So if you win with a deck, you have to continue on with that deck. It then gives the opponent the opportunity to try and counter the deck, but in general, the player who gets that first win does have some level of a favor in this tournament format. And of course, we want to give shout outs to Corsair and LG for sponsoring DreamHack and making this event possible. It's always awesome coming in here. It kind of feels like coming home nowadays because this is my 8th or 9th DreamHack event. So being behind this desk, seeing this backdrop change every time, it's always really nice being back here and awesome being joined by you guys.
Backdrop is great, by the way. I think that is like Stranglethorn Forest or something, like probably Stranglethorn Jungle. I don't know why I'd call it a forest.
Don't look at me when it comes to lore. I try my best, but I struggle on lore. I do read it up occasionally, just so I'm like no more lore than Sottle, just to stay ahead of the field.
Oh, okay,
but that's about all I do.
I only know that because the troll in the song told me so. That's the only reason I know that.
It's a good song.
Seems a good way to learn something.
I do think we've got our bands ready to go, so let's take a look at what is on the table for this first series of the day, Purple versus Shubox. Purple's Druid will be banned away. He has Paladin, Rogue, and Hunter. Then Shubox with Hunter, Shaman, Paladin, and Druid banned away. What do you make of these lineups, Dr. J? Anything crazy here?
So nothing too crazy. From Purple's lineup, he has, pretty standard decks overall. It is the Death Battle Hunter, the odd Rogue, the odd Paladin. The one thing I would say about Purple's lineup is it's a bit more aggressive than most lineups. A lot of lineups, they want to go with maybe a control deck in there somehow. Purple has opted to treat his odd Rogue as a control deck, essentially. And odd Rogue does have some great matchups against aggro decks like Zulok, but it will struggle against other Paladins. And for Shubox, I'm not quite sure what the exact lineups are, but if it's like Shutterwalk Shaman, that's going to be a control killer, which will struggle quite a bit. But the odd Paladin overall does look like it's going to have a pretty good time in this deck.
Okay, the Druid bans make a lot of sense to me. Druid is just the highest power level class in the game right now. It has pretty much good matches across the board, so you might as well take that out of the way. I do think we're going to be seeing quite a bit of both Malygos and Token Druid at this tournament. We'll, I guess, have to see if any of those get to be played or if that's going to be the most popularly banned class. The meta right now is rather stable. It's very diverse, but we know pretty much the entire scope of it because we are getting to the later stages of this meta. But the players are ready, so that means I get to ask you guys who you think is going to take this series. Dr. J, do you have any preference between Purple and Shubox?
I have to go with experience here. I think experience does play a large and massive role in a lot of these tournaments that a lot of people neglect to remember. So I'm just going to have to go with Purple out of a comfort pick. I think Purple's a very solid player, even with the monkeying around he has with his lineup with the King Muklas. I still think he's going to take it home.
All right, Lorinda.
I actually think he's going to win because he's brought lineups that are a bit more fun. I think when Purple's playing stagnant stuff, he plays worse. I think when he's bringing something that keeps him on his toes, I think he'll take this easily.
I think when Purple enjoys playing Hearthstone, Purple plays Hearthstone a lot, and he plays it very well. Again, we don't know much about Shubox at this point. We just know the lineup that he's brought, so maybe we will be pleasantly surprised, but I'm going to have to give my bid to Purple here as well. We are ready to get round number 1 underway, so don't go anywhere. DreamHack Atlanta 2018 starts right now.
Notice how Cora only ever gives an opinion when it's already decided?
I'm starting to notice that. I actually, now that you've said it, I'm pretty sure Cora only gives opinions when other people... No, I'm just playing. I'm looking at her right now. I'm trying to see if she has any reaction. I don't even think she heard anything we just said.
She never listens to anything we say, Jay. She's got the art of just pretending she knows what we're talking about down. She carries the broadcast and we just let us do our thing and then tells us afterwards, yeah, that was great.
She listened to us say Purple, though.
Yeah, she listened to that. So let's get into the first game of DreamHack Atlanta and see what's going down with Purple.
Oh, so it looks like Shubox has opted to go for that Even Paladin. Even Paladin is one of the decks that a lot of players in the tournament have opted to bring over Odd Paladin because they feel it has better matchups against other aggressive decks, and it's a very neutral all-around deck. It reminds me a lot of either Even Shaman or Even Warlock, as it's very consistent in what it does, and it does it very well. Yeah,
having those even decks does give you that consistency right from the start, of course. But this deck has a lot of options. It's pretty aggressive, but obviously, as you can see, with the qualities and consecrations, etc., the deck does have options to go into a slightly later game than some would as well. The likes of Tarim can help you out in the mid-game, so it sort of rumbles along, a bit like you said, a bit like that Even Shaman that can just not go away.
Yeah, it does what it does very consistently. Looks like Shubox is going to opt for a full keep, has the 2-drop to go along on turn 2, does have the Consecrate later on with the Equality. I'm not too familiar with this exact matchup. Even Paladin's one of those decks that has kind of resurfaced recently, and I think one of the major reasons it does fairly well on ladder is that it's strong against Druid, surprisingly, because you don't go as wide as traditional Paladin decks do. You more so go tall on one minion with something like a Corpse Taker with Blessings of Kings, and then you're pushing 14 damage and the game's over and you've blinked and you're on to the next ladder game.
Yeah, I'm always a little bit suspicious of decks that suddenly rise to prominence on ladder with no real meta change, because a lot of that can be in the mulligan. A lot of the people play mulligan for odd Paladin, they walk into an even Paladin, whoops, unlucky. And so I tend to find these decks get a little bit overrated at first. You've got to be careful because, you know, Token Druid was one of those decks once, and now it's a really good deck. But sometimes you just find the decks aren't as good as you think they are.
Yeah, I'm definitely not the firmest believer in the even Paladin, but, you know, it has put up some surprising results in the past. I believe players have been getting to the higher ranks of Legend with it. Now, Shubox opted to coin out the Amani of Berserker earlier. I wasn't too keen on it. I understand the pressure concept behind it, but you know purple, for the most part, is just going to dagger next turn, and you're essentially giving purple just a free kill on a 2-drop where you could save that coin for something later on with the Wild Pyromancer that you just picked up, or potentially if you draw something like this Corpse Taker, you could coin that out. But it's definitely just a very hard decision, because it appears that Shubox wanted to get the 2-drop down now in order to make sure he had a 2-drop on an uncontested board.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, but the punish is picking up that Corpse Taker, which is the cornerstone of the entire deck. He could have played that on turn 3 now, and that's what he's given up. Again, purple wasn't menacing last turn. He wouldn't have been able to do anything. So, interesting to see how this works out for Shubox. We'll keep an eye on how that Corpse Taker coming down a turn late turns out for him.
Yeah, purple's just going to go ahead and take it slow, play out that Tar Creeper. With the Tar Creeper, he'll be able to bump and then go Flame Elemental SI7 agent. He's going to hold on to his dagger. There's no real reason to swing the dagger quite yet, especially when on turn 5 he has to make sure he has that dagger up for that Captain Greenskin.
Yeah, we've seen more and more as the years gone by. The way that Odd Rogue in particular has been played by the best players is slower and slower than any of your ladder opponents. People really do just take their time with this deck. Now, I saw a match where Saiyan literally just kept Baku forever, and like, I'm going to play to my turn 9 play. Right from turn 1, he's like, how do I get this into play? How do I not have a wasted card? I know. I'll make my 7-8 on turn 9 relevant. And that's just not how your brain naturally looks at this deck. You want to hit people in the face.
I'm just playing a 1-drop and hit him in the face, but you're exactly right. A lot of times it separates, you know, great players from some of the best. It's just the fact that they sit there, they take their time, and a lot of the decisions in the early game matter the most. Because with Odd Rogue, you're not going to have too many decisions later on. You're going to be dumping your hand earlier on, and once you get to those later stages of the game, you don't really have as many resources. You don't have as many choices unless you have a Myra's Unstable Element. But every decision, turns 1 through 5, are going to matter drastically.
How do you even feel about getting the Crystal Smith down this early when you're on 30 health? Is that a thing you needed to do to occupy the board? It's not really a threat. When you could save it maybe to get a bit of health back later on.
It's definitely a hard argument there. You could get health back later on, but one of the major issues with that is you need to contest the board somehow, because if you think about it, you take damage in the early game with, say, minions or other, like the rogue weapon. But if you play the Crystal Smith now, you're kind of negating some of that damage early on that you would heal later. So you're doing the job earlier on rather than later on. Yeah,
that was just asking because that was part of that coin philosophy. This was one of the minions he was going to get down with it. It's like, it's not the biggest
most impactful minion. I have definitely seen more impactful 2-drops.
But again, every point of attack and health can matter massively on board in the early game. Oh, fungal dude.
Fungal man, sir. I love that card. That card, I remember where there's a point where people just didn't play that card.
Yeah, I mean, why would you? Oh yeah, because it's really good. I remember now.
So I like this a little bit more while having the dagger up. You just kind of want to make sure you get maximum utilization out of it.
To be fair, Defender of Argus was a thing that there weren't so many taunts at some points in Hearthstone's history, so taunt was a lot more relevant as a part of the buff. Whereas now it's just a thing that happens. You find a way to get taunts in your deck naturally.
Shubox does not look happy right now. He is, right now he's dedicated his turn to Hero Power Pass. And that does not feel good when you have 5 mana.
This goes back to turn 1. This is the turn 1 punish, if you like. He hasn't managed to get the board out of his early coin, and now he's sitting there wishing he had either had a coin or the board or something.
And here's where it's going to play an important factor to see how much Purple decides to trade into minions. Last turn he did put quite a bit of damage into minions. I believe that was just a nod to Blessings of Kings. He just didn't want to get punished by that card too much. He's also got a lot of burst damage in his hand. And with Myras, he's going to have the refill that he can just dump his hand. Purple has to tread a thin line of maximizing his resources and pushing as much damage as possible before something like Equality Consecrate, Equality Avenging Wrath comes down and then kind of negates his board state.
Yeah, this is the green light, though, to start dumping stuff because you've got the Myras in hand. Purple will be considering that because he is so far ahead, whether he feels the need to even play to that Myras this early. If he was anywhere, even a level board state, he would just go crazy here. But I do wonder if his thought process is, okay, I'm so far ahead, maybe I don't even need to do that, the normal play.
I actually like this from Purple, just taking it slow. I don't exactly see any kind of reason to commit anything to the board that's not necessary. With this play, Purple sets up so much damage on the following turn. He forces an Equality Consecrate, and then even if there's no Equality Consecrate, he wins the game. Yeah,
and Equality Consecrate takes your whole turn. Purple will have another card. He'll have Firefly into the Flame Elemental, into the Fungal Mancer's reload, and off you go again.
Yes, he realized with his mana that the next turn would be set up perfectly for this, and there's no strong way of even Paladin dealing with it unless they have, say, another combination of cards. However, Purple will have to get through a Spike-Ridged Dude.
He will, and currently doesn't have a way of blowing that up, but there's plenty of ways available in the deck when he does play this Myras. Spike-Ridged Dude.
Spike-Ridged Dude.
Got to feel a little bit for Shubox, like assuming he is what we're assuming he is, which is, you know, a convention visitor or an enthusiastic Hearthstone player. You sort of plan your day out in your head. You know, I'll get there, maybe win a couple of rounds, bump into a pro, maybe play against a name player, and then...
No, that's not how it works around here.
Unlucky.
Miranda.
Get on stream.
Round 1 on stream.
It's not how
Purple.
you plan your day, is it, at all? The last thing he expected this morning would be to be on stream in round 1. And that's a lot to cope with. That is a lot to deal with. A lot of
kind of like a nightmare. You just wake up in the middle of the night sweating. You're like, oh gosh.
A lot of people struggle, right?
Dream.
They just don't want to have their... I mean, he's doing well, actually. He's looking pretty calm. But
even some of very consistent players just, you know, they just don't like to be on stream. You know, it's a newly added pressure that most players don't have to deal with. But I do think it's a necessary skill.
It's also a great thing, you know, as Purple picks up the Vilespine Slayer, it's something you can go home from the event, win or lose, and say, it's a thing you have done. Which is always
exactly.
Nice. Straightforward enough turn for Purple here.
Not quite lethal just yet, but I think that's just about the icing on the cake. Even if Tyrion comes down, he'll be able to kill through that. Serenite Chain Gang, Blessings of Kings. That might be slightly enough.
If only you could sort of play the Serenite and then before the second one appeared, just get the blessing on the first one, quick. So you get 2, 6, 7.
Exactly. Can I put this Blessings of Kings on my Serenite before I play it? And I actually don't think that will be enough because Purple can just go ahead and put the Fungal Mancer, one of the 3/4s, his face, and then the other 3/4, and that would be lethal damage even if the Serenite Chain Gang plus the Blessings of Kings would come out. So as it looks right now, Purple's going to take game number 1.
Yep, put Mukla in your rogue. It makes all the difference.
I hope he draws Mukla here. I wouldn't be surprised if Purple's the player to play the Myras. Look at Purple doing the math on his finger. He's just okay, he doesn't even need to do the math. That Leroy will definitely make sure it gets done.
Need fingers for this one.
Oh, come on, Purple. You got to level up your rogue.
Oh, this is serious Purple. Serious Purple mode.
Yeah, Purple was very serious there. Typically, you know, I expect him to be kind of joking around.
Yeah, it's good to see a serious Purple. Serious Purple is a terrifying prospect to face. Whereas not serious Purple is still really good at Hearthstone, but not so terrifying.
I don't like serious Purple as much as I like Purple. I don't know how else to explain that. Purple's just a great guy. He's good to be around. But sometimes Purple is just very passionate about what like the Hearthstone play that he thinks is like.
I like talking to that Purple. That's my.
Oh, you like that
I'll take the hit on that
That's
one.
That's the serious Purple.
I like the serious Purple.
That's the Purple that tells Dr. J he's washed up.
That's why I like him.
I guess I can't blame you. But yeah, I think they were just having a little bit of a computer technical issue, so they're gonna be checking that out for just a second while Neil and I are just gonna talk at your faces.
Yeah. So, hi faces, how's it going? Massive. We've talked about the lineup here. No Hunter Ace, no Casey, but basically every big name is here. We've got players like Ike, who will kill me if I don't shout him out. Who has, joking aside, went 13-0 at his first DreamHack, and then 8-3 at his second one.
I remember that DreamHack. There were some very unfortunate things that happened to me at that DreamHack, and that was I didn't win that one because of Ike.
You had a good year, though.
I had a really good year there.
Yeah.
That was nice. But
you let us down. We wanted to repeat champion, and you got so close.
I was trying. But you're right. There are a lot of very prominent players here. We have, I believe Core mentioned earlier, all of Tempest Storm is here representing. There's a lot of European players here, I believe, as well. I was talking to Mino out on the floor.
Fino is insane at DreamHacks this year. He's got 31 wins in the Swiss and 5 losses in the Swiss all year. And he's played all of them.
I don't think I've won 31 games in my life.
I can't win 31 games on ladder, let alone and it's just ridiculous. He hasn't actually won a DreamHack. He did, of course, take down Orange County. He was in that great final against Saiyan in Montreal. But to only lose 5 Swiss games in 4 or 5 events, must be 4.
It's absolutely insane. Just to see that kind of level of consistency inside of Hearthstone really shows, separates the best players from just good players.
It's like 9-0, 8-1, 8-1, 7-3 or 6-3 or something. It's just, how do you, that's so much better than even Saiyan's done. And Saiyan's like the unbeatable monster.
Whoa, now. You're saying so much better? I think Saiyan has been holding his own quite recently.
He's done quite well at Hearthstone this year, just saying, to be fair. But he's from America, so Fino's better.
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, Hunter Ace isn't here, so I've got to pick Fino now.
Did everyone at home just hear that? What'd you say about being from America?
I've got to balance the desk, guys. And I can't balance it by sitting on it because then it would be really imbalanced. So I'm do it this way.
I'm getting word from production
that
we're kicking you off. We're getting another American on.
Okay.
But no, I mean, it's great to see the Europeans traveling out here just to compete with the top tier talent of America.
Yeah. They like a challenge, let's call it. Kallax is here. He's had a fantastic year. Kind of under the radar, to be fair.
I lost to Kallax for a win in top 8 at EGLX in Toronto.
Right.
He brought a very weird Dead Man's Hand Warrior that I had lost to.
The French guys love that deck.
Oh my gosh, they're so I don't know what it is. I've never liked that deck, but they're just...
Nobody likes that deck apart from them.
If I cue into a French player, I'm just assuming it's Dead Man's Warrior.
Let's have a look at game number 2. But yeah, just finish off about Kallax. He's had an under-the-radar fantastic year. He's been one of the best players in the world this year, just because people didn't know who he was going into the year so well. It hasn't stuck as much as with some of the others. Game number 2. Oh no, now I've got to listen to Dr. J talk about this deck.
Ooh, my favorite, the Shutterwalk Shaman. Unfortunately for Shubox here, if his best counter queue right now is the Shutterwalk Shaman, it's not exactly looking the greatest right now. I think Shutterwalk Shaman used to be favored in this matchup, but what happened is Myra's the Unstable Element got introduced as a card, and Shutterwalk Shaman just can't deal with that. What would happen a lot of times is both players would go to the fatigue state, or not fatigue, but they would both start running out of resources, and typically Shutterwalk Shaman has a higher end to draw for, so you'll be drawing like Shutterwalk, you'll be drawing like Grumble, you'll be drawing much more impactful things, and you have the heal to get out of the range of any kind of burst damage, whereas Odd Rogue will be drawing Fireflies and Dire Moles and maybe the occasional Hench Clan Thug if they're lucky. But with Myra's Unstable Element, you kind of throw all of that out the window. You say everything you knew about this matchup, just throw it out the window.
So how do you feel about, obviously it's a big deal, how big a deal is this turn 2 Keleseth going to be here for Shubox? Is it going to be a big difference or does it not really matter? It feels like it matters quite a lot.
Well, I've heard rumors that a turn 2 Keleseth often calls upon prophecies to summon a on 4 chain gang. So with that, I think it's a huge difference. I mean, obviously having Prince Keleseth in any kind of matchup will just increase the win percentage by quite a bit. And I think this one especially because it makes minions more awkward to clear. For instance, this SI7 agent, if it were to come down eventually and a Serenite Chain Gang is drawn, well, the Serenite Chain Gang just eats it up instead of taking a value trade.
While we were talking the big deal of the tournament, the Mukla has come to play.
There he is.
We're going to see a lot of him if we see a lot of purple. Oh, why? Just going to be a 4-4 Keleseth? That doesn't matter. It would have been fine, purple. Yeah, purple obviously clearing the way for the monk. He's got so much good stuff going on in his hand. He's in no hurry at all, of course.
It's another very important turn for Shubox here. He could opt to go for some kind of draw effect, where he gets down, say, the Acolyte of Pain, maybe try and force a trade out the SI7, or play the Mana Tide Totem in order to guarantee a draw through just that turn, maybe get 2 draws if purple decides to ignore it. Or he could opt to just play out the Mind Control tech now. I don't mind the Mind Control tech now because the only extreme punish to it would be something like Dagger Cold Blood. That would be quite the punish to it, but that would mean purple's not developing a 3-drop on top of he is contesting the immediate forward state.
One thing I like about not playing it though is I think this hand, like next turn you can Glacial Shard and Mana Tide and give purple things to hit that he needs to remove. And maybe you can, just bait him into getting that 4th minion down. Normally I agree, you ignore that part down Mana Tide, the Mind Control, and just challenge board. But just because of this exact hand Shubox has, I do feel that maybe he can stodge it up enough to make the MC Tech actually get more value than usual.
That's definitely fair. I mean, MC Tech is not the most powerful in this matchup. A lot of times they won't go that wide on the board.
You were right about the summoning, by the way.
I told you.
You did warn me.
Prophecies foretell that if you play Chain Gang on, or if you play Prince Keleseth on 2, you will have Chain Gang on 4.
Prophecies are usually correct.
That's why they call them prophecies.
What would they call it if they weren't correct? Like fallacies or something?
Fallacies?
Fallacies. Nice.
Is that an actual word?
I knew those were the reasons I liked working with you.
Although I'm not quite sure I like the Serenite Chain Gang that turn. There was some potential to think about, say, Lightning Storm plus the Glacial Shard that turn.
I think this works with that Lightning Storm, though. I think is how he's thinking here, because he's expecting the Mukla to trade into one of these.
That is fair.
And then maybe purple will feel the need to put more to the board, and then actually the Lightning Storm could get a lot done in one go. He hasn't got a very defensive hand.
Yeah, it's a very interesting turn, because if you do decide to go with the Glacial Shard plus the Lightning Storm, what'll end up happening is purple is kind of forced to dagger down the Glacial Shard because he's given the bananas to Shubox, and it will put the Mukla at worst case scenario to 3 health, and it would only take 1 banana to clear up the Mukla with the Glacial Shard, and then you could do just, banana hero power, and you kind of have the MC Tech for later on. So it's definitely something to consider. If you go for this Serenite Chain Gang line of play, you give them a free kill with the minions that were currently on board, while also giving purple time to develop. I think this was like a pretty good case for Shubox here. It worked out for him pretty well. But this King Mukla is a 5/5. And speaking of Serenite Chain Gangs, apparently deciphered in the hieroglyphics, there were 2.
Yeah.
By 2, I mean 4.
Yeah, because you get 2, lots of 2, which I think is for Shubox. Sorry, purple there did play around all of the threats really nicely. The MC Tech and the Lightning Storm, of which we spoke. Purple's having none of that. So I think that's one of the... Obviously, that's not that hard to play, but something that purple is super good at is just knowing... Just never, ever walking into that sort of thing. You don't see him walk into cheap tricks basically ever in this game.
That's a very strong play coming out from Shubox here. This is one of the starts that Shutterwalk Shaman will need in order to have a chance in this matchup. Just, the Prince Keleseth on 2 into having both of the Serenite Chain Gangs. And
There was clapping at his own good fortune. He's like, yeah, I drew the Vile Spine on curve again. Well done, me.
Purple's just trying to navigate this. He's like, all right, so if I concede now, what game do I, what deck do I kill next?
Purple and the concedes he has been known to do some really early concedes in the past, but I think this one he was applauding himself for just breaking Shubox next turn. He doesn't sort of... Purple always feels embarrassed when he's winning, almost.
I think so.
That's the impression I get. He loves it. He likes to win, don't get me wrong. He loves winning. But he does sort of sometimes give that vibe of being a bit embarrassed about the fact that he won, even when it's his own skill that does it.
Shubox has a couple interesting decisions here. The Hex I would like to be used later on. He could go for a line of play where he decides to clear off the King Mukla, the 2 minions on board. He gets a Mana Tide down, fits in a Hero Power, and then can even Earth Shock the Hench Clan Thug as to make sure he doesn't keep taking that repetitive damage. Looks like, you know, he's going for another line of play where he just commits the Storm. I actually really like this now that I've seen it. Guarantee to kill on both minions, get the Mana Tide totem down, and you still have flexible mana for next turn. I think this is a really good spot from Shubox.
Yeah, because he has got to start working. I mean, the combo isn't much in this, but at least getting a Shudder Walk and getting some more minions is something he's going to need to do, because the Onslaught is going to keep coming, especially if Myra's is picked up. And so, yeah, Shubox still working towards getting as much going on as possible. And he is quite away in front here, I feel. He's not taking much damage. I think
he's pulling away. I think Purple needs to draw Myra's Unstable Element very quickly. If you are Shubox here, I really would like to see Shubox set up the Hagatha for next turn. The question Shubox is going to have to ask himself is, what is the best way to set up the Hagatha?
I wonder if he's just going to go all in on this Mana Tide, make it a 3/6 and force Purple to put everything into it.
That seems pretty good to me. I like 3/6 Mana Tide totems. Would you play a 3-mana 3/6 Mana Tide totem?
It dies kind of easily, but yes, I would play that card. It dies kind of easily to the board, but...
I mean, it forces everything, though.
And Purple's not going to be happy with a 3/1 just chilling on the board. He's going to have to commit more. If he's got more, we can see he's running out of stuff. But Shubox happy to make a totem. That gives him more options for his bananas.
Shubox definitely has like a plethora of different options he could go for. Pickup of the SI7 agent is going to mean that he will be able to clear up that Mana Tide totem with the Firefly, the SI7, and the Dagger. I think Purple's going to want to keep this Vile Spine at 4 health, as he knows what's right around the corner.
The trouble is
you know what happens with Shaman when you have 8 mana.
Yeah, he knows there's an MC tech. He knows there might be a Hagatha as well.
He knows there's 2 bananas.
He may just choose to not do much, or he may feel that I'm at that point now, yeah. I'm at that point now, if he has cards, I lose the game. So let's hope he hasn't got cards.
Yeah, Purple's relying on not only getting Myra's Unstable Element, but saying, you know what? This is my last kind of board state. Deal with it. And Shubox is going to say, okay, I'm going to deal with it.
How many nanoseconds before Purple hits concede after this? Will he see his next card?
I think he'll see his next card, because if he does draw Myra's Unstable Element, there is a very strong chance. But it does look like Purple just hovered over the concede button right there. I saw him fidget down to where the escape bar on the keyboard would be. Oh, Shubox, don't do Purple like this.
I mean, yeah, Shubox is doing a good job, actually, of taking his time over every play.
I do agree.
I've been impressed with that, settling himself down, and he seems decent. I'm quite happy with how Shubox is progressing today.
I do like to see that from players, you know, just take your time. You're allocated the full time for a reason. But it's just funny because I know that frustrates Purple, because Purple's just like, all right, come on, man. Come on, man. Yeah.
Yeah, anyone who's watched Purple stream or play or anything, he likes to get on with his Hearthstone because he processes things so quickly. Like when I'm talking to him, I'm just like, hey, wait, whoa, just speak English
slow it down a little bit.
And then he says the same to me.
Let's appeal to the audience at home. I would like to see the Earthshock come out onto the 3/1 Vile Spine. Definitely think you want to make sure you don't take that much damage. With the Healing Rain picked up, Shubox can kind of do almost anything he wants as long as Purple doesn't find that Myra's Unstable Element.
Need to see that Mind Control tech played soon as well. Get that Battle Cry into the Shudder Walk. It's not going to be relevant for any time soon.
Might as well just get it on the board as a 4/4 body.
Get a minion down there.
I don't mind seeing that. you know, see the spell you get.
I think he was right to hold it a little bit longer than usual, but I think
That's
now
fair.
is the time to get this massive minion on the board for very little mana.
It is a 4/4, so it will contest that other Vile Spine.
It's easy to sort of think at the start of the game, oh, I'm going to reserve this MC Tech for this situation, and then forget to change your plan when the situation changes, which it has, because Purple's just not playing those minions. Yeah, I like this. It's not hard, but I'm glad to see it, is what I mean. Yeah, just have it.
I really like to see him...
now Earthshot the 3-1, because that's going to preserve so much damage.
I would like to see that. I don't think it's going to matter in the long run. Shubox kind of is in the driver's seat right now. But you don't want to take unnecessary damage. For
Especially with
instance,
these
just
big
3
minions,
damage.
they would have just been quite difficult to deal with, and you'd actually be starting to win some sort of race as well.
Okay, so I definitely think Hex is coming out. I definitely think there's going to be some trades. I would like to see the healing rain come out first. I don't think you really value the health on the minions.
Sure.
If you're Shubox here, you kind of just do what you want.
Yeah, as long as you hex the big minion that's in the way, you can do whatever you like.
As long as you stop the only thing on the board that could potentially end your life, I think you're good. Yeah, why not? Put the life drink on the board. I like it.
Is there any combination he can lose to here? Not quite, but yeah, some Cold Bloods and Leroy's and Myra's.
I think both Cold Bloods are gone.
So yeah, so that's good.
I think the only outside burst damage would be the deadly poisons. And this is how the matchup traditionally went in the past. For instance, Purple has not drawn Myra's Unstable Element, and we can see here, the Shaman is just dominating.
I mean, it did have a pretty good way to all of its minions and none of its combo, basically, so that was good for it. That always helps.
Ooh, Void Ripper. That'll do nothing.
2-6 Leroy. No, it'll do nothing.
I think I've accidentally done that before, where I had a weird, obscure lethal that I needed to use the Leroy, but I needed a Void Ripper as well, but I played the Leroy first, and then I had Void Ripper. I was like, why didn't my opponent die here? And then I was like, oh.
I miss the old knife juggler days when Leroy's used to come in and just get juggled down. It'd be like, oh no.
You might be able to see that this weekend. You know, there's a lot of even Shaman and a lot of odd decks.
There's some weird stuff here as well. There's a bit more Priest than
That's
you'd
why I'm
expect.
excited.
Yeah.
I think, you know, as crazy as it sounds, you know, the format's been going on for quite some time. It is getting to that kind of stale point where most of the decks have been solidified. But even then, we're seeing even Paladin resurface.
I think almost because of that stabilization, what you're talking about is happening is that people
making players go crazy. They start putting King Mooklin all 4 of their decks.
It's like it's so stable, it's predictable, and when that happens, you can start to actually
monkey around,
do something about it.
Go bananas.
Are you going to stop?
Go back to your primal instincts.
You're not going to stop, are you?
I'm not going to stop.
9 rounds of Swiss with Dr. J talking about bananas, ladies and gentlemen. Luckily, I won't be here for all of those rounds. I'm going to let Admirable try and take you on later. He can out-monkey you, I'm sure.
So this is an interesting mulligan from Shubox. I almost wouldn't be opposed to see Shubox keep the Shutterwalk, keep the Grumble, and the Chain Gang. As crazy as that sounds, it's a very strange mulligan. But the reason I say that is a lot of times against Hunter, the way you win is by making sure you get to your combo as quickly as possible. So if you get to your combo essentially in your starting hand, you kind of just hope your hand fills out to the point where you kind of deal with the early stages, and then you just Shutterwalk on 9 and win the game. Yeah, we've seen how the hand can develop quite rapidly last game, like just from the top of your deck. So yeah, keeping that combo does make sense. Here's Keleseth. Now I see why he mulliganed him away. Shubox is a Prince Keleseth gamer, and I'm loving it. You know who's not loving it? It's Purple. Purple is not loving it. Purple is... All eyes on Purple for what particular sarcastic reply we get this time when it comes down onto raise of an eyebrow, I think, most likely. I'm very excited to see Purple's expression with this Prince Keleseth. That's what I love about Purple, is how expressive he is. Sometimes it can be over the top, but you know, I'd rather see over the top than nothing at all. And it's never malicious. It's always... It can be sarcastic and upset, but it's never, ever nasty. No, Purple after every game is just... Well done, dude. Whatever, yeah. Gentleman to his opponent, exactly. Yeah. It's just in the moment, he's like, all right, thanks, Hearthstone. So here we go. You taught me last game this is a good Hearthstone card. I'm going to put it in some of my decks later. Candle Shot, yeah. It's a good Hearthstone card. This one, an even better Hearthstone card.
Slight.
There's a slight
Yeah,
spurt.
whatever that is. Nice, yeah, well done.
The Puppy Dog Lips won't help you, Purple. That Keleseth has already done its battle cry.
And not going to mess around waiting for Death Rattle effects, just going to challenge this board before it gets out of control.
Can even Zola it.
Oh.
Please, Shubox, please.
I think that was the one time I've ever seen Kibler get upset in tweets was when he just lost to somebody who Keleseth him to like the nth degree by about turn 5. He's like, what's this doing?
My favorite convoluted situation is sometimes you'll come into a game where you don't have Life Drinker in the pool, but you have the Shutterwalks, and you just constantly play the Shutterwalks to try and get some of them on the board, but you have Prince Keleseth in the pool, and next thing you know, you're drawing like 1821 Mana-Tide Totems. And of course, you have to play the 1821 Mana-Tide Totem because it's an 1821 Mana-Tide Totem.
Yeah, but you need that extra card, right?
Exactly, that too. And then you kill him with an 1821 Mana-Tide Totem.
Wow.
It actually happens more often than you think.
Yeah, it does, especially if you go for it. We're going to see crazy stuff happen. Purple's having a laugh about it now. We are going to see some crazy stuff in this game.
I think Purple's just kind of hoping that this cube play works out for him. He's going to have to stick to Grizzly. The Grizzly is going to have to fend off the entire Shutterwalk family. And then it's going to have to get cubed and carry the entire team. It's a lot to ask for from a poor old Grizzly.
Yeah, Purple just deciding that there's no point trading around here, just getting that damage in while he can. He's got a long way to go here, though.
I don't think you quite need the extra Keleseth buff just yet. I wouldn't be opposed to see Shubox put one of the bumps into the Terrascale Stalker, trade off into the Spider Bomb.
Yeah.
Just play a Serenite Chain Gang.
Seems good.
Seems good to me. Save the Hex. No real reason to commit too much to the board state.
Lots of options here for him, though, and that's why it's, again, good to see him taking his time. He's unlikely been on stream before. Again, I keep assuming he may have come from other games or something. That's the thing that sometimes happens, and players are actually more confident than you feel. But
or maybe he's just the future DreamHack Atlanta champion.
Yeah, maybe.
All starts with this first game. I really like this. You know, might as well put the bump in. There's no reason to get the 2 face damage. You're going to inevitably win the game with Shutterwalk later on. Question is, ooh, do you get that juicy buff down now? Or do you go for the Serenite Chain Gang?
I quite like your play here.
I like being mana efficient. I think that's a lot of times what, you know, decides games is that mana efficiency. For instance, you play the Serenite Chain Gang that turn. Next turn, you can go potentially Acolyte Pain plus the Prince Keleseth. But when you draw that, throw everything out the window.
Yeah. Yeah, shut up, Dr. J. Let Shubox do his thing.
And here's a turn where I think Shubox, I would have liked to seen him think just a little bit more. Because although Hex doesn't seem appealing on the 3-5, there is some strong consideration for it. Because Cube Play Dead is right around the corner, and with Cube Play Dead, the 3-1 can also be traded off. There was some merit to actually freezing the Terrascale Stalker to make sure Mind Control Tech was viable next turn.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that done more often than you'd think, is freeze the smaller minion. And this could turn around really quickly in Purple's favor if he's not careful, because obviously that Rexar pickup while we were talking about Shubox is a big, big deal for clearing stuff up. And it's also meant that the double Keleseth's making more difference on these Glacial Shards. But
also has the Grumble to bounce them back. And it can replay Keleseth again.
It's disgusting.
Just keep buffing the deck up. Why not?
Yeah, who needs combos when we have, what is it, 1821s you're talking about?
1821 Mana-Tide Totem. Don't forget the Mana-Tide Totem. That's the most important part.
So you can draw more 1821 Mana-Tide Totems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh, does Shubox telegraph the Mind Control Tech by not swinging into this Froggy?
Yeah.
That's what he's going to do.
That's not going to work.
I mean, to be honest, I don't blame him. I like it. You might as well make sure that, you know, Purple is terrified to play anything else. Now, the Carnivorous Cube is an exception. We'll be able to eat the Grizzly and play around it, but I kind of like that from Shubox. No reason to kill off that Frog. Really wants to make sure that Mana-Tide I'm saying Mana Tide for everything now. I want to make sure that
I was calling it Mana Tide Tech earlier as well, I think. It's the heat in Atlanta getting to us.
It's hot Atlanta.
Hot Atlanta. For those who don't realise, Nathan's kind of admirable is a bit sad because he likes the hot, and Atlanta's kind of chilly today.
No, it's still hot. It's still hot.
It's hot for me.
I think this is an easy Grumble turn. Might as well get on the board. Can go ahead and refreeze 312 in the middle.
Yeah, nothing else looks like it works mana-wise.
Not really.
You could kill the weapon if you want to protect your 4-1 or get some 4-1 damage stuff, but you just run it into a minion anyway. That protects it pretty well.
Looks like Shubox is really still thinking about leaving this Froggy up on the board. Almost like
yeah, it's not running as a threat. You're right. It's actually clogging purple up. As long as he has things to do himself, which he does, then why not?
I don't think he's too worried about taking 3 damage a turn. He does have the Hagatha to try to find refill, and then we'll be able to just keep drawing through the deck. Ooh.
Mukla.
That is a Katharina Winter Wisp that could pull a
Mukla.
3-mana 5/5. Let's see it.
And your opponent doesn't get the bananas.
Boom! King Mukla hits the board. I don't know why I was so excited for that.
I was looking forward to that as well. I think Cora.
I think everyone was talking.
Nicely.
Everyone was joking with Purple about how that was like a strong possibility, and how I just love that the first game, the first round of Swiss, it comes up.
Yeah, yeah, live in front of all the viewers and in front of Shubox. I mean, it's still a beefy beast. It is still a 5/5. It's not bad.
The way Purple rationalized it is, in most matchups, it's almost the same thing as high main a lot of the times.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, a lot of the times high main doesn't get dealt with. It only has 1 less stat. It can come down turns earlier to contest other aggressive decks.
And it just destroys Druid on its own.
It's a monkey.
Yeah, he's got bigger than size 11 feet as well.
Shoebox. What'd he get? Oh, he gets the 312. I think that's pretty solid. I think that's actually the best one. I don't know if the Katharina would have been better, but definitely having the 312 I think was at least, if not the best, the second best.
Imagine if he'd stolen the Mukla and then Purple would be like, that's why it's in the deck. Because I don't want it.
I don't want it. Take it. You can have it back. I'm never putting King Mukla in my lineups again.
But this is where Shubox is going to have it to do over the next few turns. This is where it's starting to just turn against him. And it served him well, the mulligan he took, but this is where we see the decision that you were going to go with, sort of get that combo early. Would he have survived this far? Maybe not.
So he's had the majority of the cards for the combo. The only thing he's missing right now is Shutterwalk. So if you imagine if he had the Shutterwalk in his hand, he could honestly just tempo it out, take a minion, summon another copy, and then hopefully find something later on.
He needs it really soon, though. Like, now would be good.
Like, yesterday is when he needed it.
Looking for the Volcano here. Think it's okay, but with the cube on the board, it's not that okay, because that's how cubes work.
I think more so, Shubox is going to be looking at this Hagatha. Can play the Hagatha, put the Mind Control Tech into the 3/4, and then trade into 2 minions, only leaving the cube up.
Yeah, seems good.
Kind of have to hope that there's no second Play Dead or second Terror Scale Stalker, and then maybe get a Hex off of the Acolyte of Pain or the second one naturally in the deck.
Notice how Purple here has been understanding as well the very big importance of the tempo in this. He hasn't been messing around building beasts and stuff. He's just been, you know, getting his actual cards onto the board. Why not? It's not a value-based game. It's can I kill them? You get the value when your work is done.
So this is definitely very interesting to me. I don't quite get what Shubox is going for here. It looks like he's going for some kind of Volcano math. Did he do all the math out to figure out that that would be exact?
He did start counting really early on in his turn for Volcano.
That was an insane Volcano turn that I didn't see.
I don't think it quite worked out how he thought as well. He's looking a little bit, he's scrunching his face a bit as if to say, whoops.
I think he's just worried that this Build-A-Beast is going to end this game. Oh, Purple Snap picked that. What's the next one? Oh, all of those are weak.
You're telling me that Silverback Patriarch is weak?
Yes. I would tell you that, Neil. The Silverback Patriarch is weak.
Okay.
Blizzard had to draw a card onto that card, and it still barely sees play. Still barely. It's called Stonehill Defender.
I was looking at you thinking, hang on, yeah, I'll get there in a minute.
I think another issue with the play last turn is he's overloaded for quite a bit.
Don't know if people can hear that or not, but if you can, DreamHack's pretty exciting at this time of year. It's all going on.
Oh, no.
He's got 2 Glacial Shards in the pool, but he can't play it. He can't Hagatha either.
Even if he rolls the Taunt Totem, it's not enough. He's just going to end the turn and say, you know what? Finish him.
Finish him.
And Purple is going to take the set 2-1 over Shubox. The Death Rattle Hunter. I believe Shubox's next Q is going to be his own Death Rattle Hunter.
Those mirror matches are interesting because, like, about 1 time in 3, somebody just stomps the other guy. And the other 2 times in 3, it can get really technical and awkward.
I like the games where somebody gets stomped.
Depends who it is. I like the games where I stomp somebody. Yeah,
great.
That's great. Here, wear some eggs. And some 5/5s.
One how the King Mukla does in the mirror. Give your opponent bananas to enable their eggs.
Yeah, but it also gives you a 5/5 to enable killing their face.
Or killing their eggs. Or killing their eggs.
Depends how quickly things get going, I guess.
Keeping the tracking off the start.
And lots of options here for Shubox in terms of how much you want to do. I like just keeping the Terror Scale personally, but the cube's a big deal in this matchup.
I would consider keeping one of the cubes. I think keeping 2 is a bit overkill, but I definitely like keeping one of the cubes. Cube is, I would say, one of the most important cards in this matchup.
But Purple has the most important card in the matchup, in my opinion, in his hand.
Katharina.
Winter Wisp.
Of Winterhood.
How come Wisps in Winter are like 6/6s, but normally they're 1/1s?
Wait, what?
Like normal Wisps are 1/1s, but she's a Winter Wisp and she's like 6/6. How does that work?
She's not a wisp at all. She's a
Winter
person. It's Katharina.
No, Wisps have names too.
Compare Katharina to a wisp?
They have names
That's
too.
insulting.
They have families.
All right. 0 mana 1/1. What's it called?
Bob.
No. You are very quick with Bob. You are very quick with Bob, and I don't think that Wisp's name is Bob.
Purple keeping this tracking. Basically, it's an extra mulligan.
Takes the candle shot.
You're not doing much on turn 1 anyway. Interesting. He's got the Hunter's Mark to back it up with.
That's definitely why he took the candle shot, so he can stop any kind of early pressure. Ooh, and
there could be some early pressure. These eggs are going to explode all over the board here for Shubox.
It is going to look like scrambled eggs on breakfast. Shubox is going to go coin Devilsaur Egg, and Purple is going to look at it and say, you know what, if you've got it, you've got it. And that is all the Death Rattle triggers. I mean, he's got so many that Shubox has to be conscious of mind control tech.
Mind control hit you for 20 if you tech me.
I mean, Purple might just play it here to try and contest the Terror Scale Stalker.
Yeah, this is interesting because he knows that stuff's going on in the hand. That Terror Scale was kept. But obviously it could easily be Katharina Winter Wisp.
It could be a cube. Purple's got kind of a read that it is something to either enable a Death Rattle or is something with a Death Rattle, probably.
And yeah, he is going to start contesting early. And looking at his curve, it makes a lot of sense. He's got things to do for 3 of the next 5 turns already, with power to add from the top of his deck.
So if you're Shubox here, I definitely like the Terror Scale Stalker. It does get answered by a Flanking Strike, and it also dies technically on board. But you're going to be more mana efficient with the Playdeads later on. So I like being the most mana efficient now. That way the Playdeads get more utilization later on.
I think I agree, but the reason he's looking is killing people with 10 attack on the board very rapidly ends a game before mana matters. So he's definitely got to pay it some attention to.
You're not wrong.
But
2 Devilsaurs is greater than 1. My math teacher taught me that one.
Yeah? Your math teacher play a lot of Hearthstone?
No. Math teacher was just really into Devilsaurs.
Okay. I mean, Devilsaurs are cool.
They're terrifying. Look at that. I'm just looking at that egg right now.
I seem to have this conversation a lot, but I think the Devilsaurs are like kind of cute.
You think that thing is cute right there?
Yeah.
Okay, I can see it. I was going to argue with it, but no, I can see it.
It's kind of cute in a dinosaur-y kind of way.
Looks like, it reminds me of the Easter Bunny.
Okay, now you think it's cuter than I do.
I don't know why it reminds me of the Easter Bunny. It just
Because
does.
it's always alongside the eggs.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
A little egg hunt.
Got him.
I like the setup from Purple there. The hit onto the Devil Sword is very important. Allows him to not have to utilize the Hunter's Mark later on, so he can just put one of the threes into the Devil Sword and just clean it up with the bow. So it's a very conscious hit on Purple's part.
Despite the fact there's some obvious looking plays here for Shubox, he's got so much going on in this hand. You know, Spider Bombs and Play Deads are things you can do. But he is just going to do the more obvious stuff. Tempted to put that into the face, but got to control this board. It could get nasty.
I would have much rather seen that gone to the face.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any real reason to not push it face. You kind of see what Purple was setting up for a last turn. It doesn't really get punished by anything. You know Purple's going to go for that.
The trade anyway.
The trade anyway. And even if it did trade, I would have rather seen it go into the Beast just for reasons.
Yeah, just...
It doesn't matter, but just for reasons.
The other thing that happens in this matchup is if you are the one with the eggs and the death rattles, you are the one that runs out of stuff to do first, so you have to make that early game count. As it happens, that might not happen in this game, apart from the Katharina in Purple's hand. But usually you're the one who has to get it done with the 5/5s, or you end up losing to the attrition.
Shubox has a very clean play here with the Defender of Argus, can buff up both minions, push a little bit of face damage, and then can play dead again. I would have rather seen the play dead come out last turn. I don't see a reason that Shubox is really holding on to this. I think Shubox is just trading way too much.
Yeah, definitely now. That one needs to go into the face for sure. It doesn't even make the board any more clear, to be honest. The board's the same as it was a minute ago, except now you haven't done 6 damage.
The only real reason to trade is if Shubox has a read that Hunter's Mark is in the hand and really wants to play around it. But right now, Shubox has missed 11 damage. Yeah. 11 damage right now would put Purple at 16 health, if my math is correct. And 16 health is 8 hero powers.
There were other things he could do there as well. He could have Hunter's Marked one of these and traded the egg in, for instance, just to remove a thing. I don't think you need to, because they're going to go into your egg anyway, but Purple hasn't got much for turn 6. Obviously, you save it for the Grizzly, but you've still got the Spider Bomb. Well, apart from the trading, though, I think Shubox has managed to maintain concentration, and I get the impression he's playing at the top of his game, considering he's been shoved on stream in round 1 of an event he probably came to have a good time.
Just hanging out with his buddies, saying, "Yeah, we're gonna have a good time at DreamHack. Let's all
sit together. Your stream,
let's all
mate.
Sit together.
Get over
let's
there.
Play some Hearthstone. Let's go to our tables." And he's like, "Nope, you're coming with us."
And by the way, you're playing Purple.
And by the way, you're playing Purple.
Who's in tryhard mode?
On stream.
Kind of.
Get in the chair.
Get in the chair. Can't get in the chair.
You'll thank us later. And see, this is where, you know, if 11 more damage was pushed, 7 damage here, fitting a hero power, there is no natural way to heal from the Hunter deck besides Deathstalker Rexar. And the hero powers will rack up, surprisingly. I know I was joking earlier about you're 8 hero powers away, but realistically, if you can fit in a hero power every turn, and you put them to like 4 hero power range, or even put them down to like 10 health, that is a very realistic goal that you can get there. Especially because they're going to have to answer your board. Oh, please, Shubox, think about that first. Whew. I got a little nervous on that one. I think Shubox did too.
Yeah, it's interesting because modern Hearthstone tends to be a bit slower than the olden days in terms of how long a game takes. But we also have so many games being won by people finding an exact extra point of damage to just break the deadlock and just win a game from nowhere.
I mean, Shubox has ultimately missed about
a lot.
17 damage at least this game.
So much damage. And the hero power would be relevant if he'd taken all that damage on. That said, we're sort of talking as if he's losing this game. He has the same hand as Purple plus 4 extra cards, plus a better board. He's doing just fine with the damage he's missed.
The one thing Purple will have going for him is he's going to be able to play that Katharina first.
Yes.
And as long as it doesn't pull King Mukla, I think Purple will be happy. Even if it does pull King Mukla, it's fine.
Yeah, King Devilsaur.
King Devilsaur. Now, what would that card read?
5/5 for 3. Give your opponent 2
Devilsaur eggs.
Devilsaur eggs. There you go. Done.
But they cost 0 mana, and they hit the board.
Yeah, they're 3 zeros.
And they both have play dead on them.
You don't like that sort of card, right?
I would love that card.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I'm just
here we go.
Racks up, and I think a lot of times that drives the difference in these mirror matches. Is just making sure to allocate damage appropriately.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, something that I think Saiyan was showing with his Odd Rogue is allocating damage in mirrors was absolutely huge throughout that massive streak he had. He'd do 1 damage like a 5/5, and later on there'd be 4 damage materialize it from nowhere. Exact lethals, and he's winning with exact lethals so often. All right. Well, Shubox.
All right, respond with your own Katharina. It's a Katharina duel.
Duel of the Winter Wisps.
Where's my pet? There it is. Could opt to hit into the King Crush and then put the Spider Bomb in.
Yeah.
It will clean off the other King, Katharina, but a lot of times, you know, it's going to pull King Mukla.
And also,
you're fine with that. You've
got the Hunter's Mark in hand, Candle Shot in play. Yeah, I think you're okay here.
Oh, this is where it's a little sketchy, because if this Witchwood Grizzly comes out and there's a Cube Play Dead or a Cube Terror Scale on the other side, it could get pretty dicey. Fortunately for Shubox, we can see that that is not the case. Shubox is looking up pretty good right now. Doesn't even need to commit to the Hunter's Mark next turn. Could just, you know, play King Crush and get through the Witchwood Grizzly the hard way.
And we'll go to game 5 if Shubox wins this and Purple still has that Paladin waiting, so he won't be overly concerned right now, but obviously you never want to go to 2-all in a Hearthstone match if you can help it.
No.
Unless you're 2-1 down. Then you do.
Definitely want to end it as quickly. Yeah, you definitely want to end it as quickly as possible. If you're Shubox here, I like the idea of just playing out the largest minion in your hand and putting it into things. Like that Witchwood Grizzly. What do you think?
Nah, seems good.
Ooh, even the Candle Shot
Don't mind it, he's got the mana to play the second one. Why not sneaky point of damage?
Sneaky point of damage.
That's one of the 17 clawed back.
We're getting there eventually. Oh, that's Savannah Highmane. That is not a King Mukla. That is a little bit better in this mirror.
Yeah.
Does hit the King Crush. All right, there's a little bit of hope for Purple left over.
Yeah, he needs Rexar, and he needs it like yesterday.
I mean, look, Purple's been trying to deal with the board state the entire time, and Shubox is at 15 life.
Yeah.
That goes to show you how much hero power damage just racks up over time.
Yes, it's pretty incredible.
That's what Thrall says, not what Rexar says.
Oh, talking of Rexar.
Oh, speaking of incredible, I think we're going to game 5.
Looks like it's going to be game 5 to me. We'll see a purple nod or something in a minute. Purple's emotions more interesting to predict than what's going to happen in this game 4. I think.
I would agree.
Come get it.
All right, what's the beast? Tundra Rhino, snap.
Yeah.
No time to think. We don't have time.
And then something cheap.
Giant Wasp, because that's poisonous.
Yeah, that.
And stealth.
Yeah.
High five, Rendell. We did it.
And we did the high five. Don't know if you can hear that back at home.
That did not see it.
It was awkward.
Actually, it was fine.
It was
I thought it was a solid high five. It wasn't like, I wouldn't say it was in my top 5 high fives.
It was like a high 5 out of 10.
It's like a, on a scale of 27 to 37, I'd probably give it like a
an 18, 21?
Like a 31, yeah.
That's a weird scale.
What, the scale of 27 to 37?
Yeah, because it's got 11 numbers in it. 1 to 10 only has 10.
There also is a scale of -5 to 5.
Right.
And that scale is very beneficial because you know how sometimes when you're using a 10-point scale, like you're saying, it was a 5, you don't know whether that's like
average
neutral
or 1 below.
Exactly. You don't know if that's good or bad. So when you use a scale of -5 to 5 and you say it's a 0, you mean it was neutral.
That's good.
On my scale of 27 to 37, when I say it's a 31.
So 32 so you said it's bad. You blew it. As we do lumber our way into game number 5 there, in between high fives and joking around. And it is going to be Odd Mukla Paladin for purple, which seems like it should do really well in this matchup to me.
Shubox has been very emotional too. He just keeps looking at it. He wants something out there. I don't know what he wants.
Round of applause. Bottle of water.
He's really trying to get the crowd going right now, and I don't blame him. They're going into game number 5, Odd Paladin versus Death Rattle Hunter.
And this is where, yeah, you're seeing the emotion from Shubox now. This is where suddenly you go, oh, I might beat purple on stream. So you try and get the experience, enjoy myself, settle in, and then suddenly it's like, oh, this is now real. I actually stupidly got myself into a position where I might win.
It always felt good being a because obviously I've been referred to as the no name.
I was joking.
It did feel good. It did feel good when you defeated a player of just high notoriety.
Yeah.
It always felt good. And then being a player of high notoriety, losing to someone who's not as well known in the scene, it can be frustrating at times, but you just kind of have to accept that, you know, there's a lot of undiscovered talent out there.
I mean, people who come to a LAN and actively choose to enter a Hearthstone tournament are usually pretty good at Hearthstone. Yeah, we call them no-names and all that, which is a little bit derogatory, but they're still obviously pretty good at Hearthstone, or they wouldn't go to a live gaming event to play a Hearthstone tournament. It's not the sort of effort you make if you're terrible at something.
There's some games I'm really bad at, and I might go to a live gaming event.
Yeah?
Play them.
Kellerset.
Like Hearthstone.
Shubox is really good at Kellerset.
Yes, this is, I believe, the 3rd Kellerset that we have seen from Shubox. Ooh, into a Devil's Soar Egg. Could opt to, you know, coin that out and then go for Prince Kellerset, play dead on the following turn. I really like that. No reason to coin out the Prince Kellerset
on
now.
2, no. He's got no play for next turn. You just miss a turn. And then you waste mana rather than save it.
Wasting mana is bad, Lorinda.
It is, but it takes many forms. It's not an obvious waste of mana to coin out Kellerset. It feels like you're saving mana because you're not wasting your 1. Then you got to realise
your mana, use it when you need it.
You waste 2. Yeah. Coin's important too. We don't talk about that enough.
Oh, the coin is very important.
And it's getting more and more important when you choose to use that coin, I think, in modern Hearthstone.
We see Purple there. He had the option to go Firefly, Blessing of Might, but it looks like Purple is going with a strategy of trying to utilize the Blessing of Might later on to potentially take a trade into something like a Witchwood Grizzly to get through it.
He's also got the Corridor Creeper in hand, so the more little dudes he can make, the cheaper that's going to be later.
Purple is just laughing right now at the Prince Kellerset that just hit the board, and I don't blame him. It's the 3rd one.
Nope. That's a nice little pickup, though. Makes the turn apparently easy, although nothing's obvious when it comes to Purple. Yeah.
With Purple's game plan, I think he just kind of wants to go and be as aggressive as possible. The trade is a little interesting to me. I'm trying to think of what the trade could be referencing. I guess potentially Mind Control Tech taking it. But a lot of times, they're going to have to make that trade for you. So there was definitely something on Purple's mind with that trade. Maybe it was Zola.
Yeah, I'm trying to work it out as well.
Because you got the Zola earlier.
I mean, Candle Shot Bump just means that you lose your minion for nothing. He knows there wasn't a Candle Shot on the first 2 turns.
Yeah, so I was a little curious the bump onto the minion. I didn't quite like it, but I definitely like these hero powers every turn, especially with that level up in hand.
Yeah.
Right now, Shubox has no way to answer it.
Yeah, I mean, you're down to I mean, from where he sat, Defender Vargas is something, probably with a play dead and a coin involved at the same time.
I think you have to. As awkward as this is, I mean, you kind of just have to put as much defense on the board as possible, especially when you know what's around the corner. You know Purple was setting up for this. This is a 6 Paladin level up on turn 5, Neil.
And there's no, yeah, it's turn 5.
Let it rip. Oh, yeah. But there's a Purifier's Maul. I still think you level up. The Purifier's Maul is just not good enough.
Well,
no, don't overthink it, Neil.
I overthink everything, Jay.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the rest of these just go face.
Chat is full of why does that old guy overthink everything as we speak.
I think if you're Purple, you just ship this all face. Imagine if that 4 damage had been pushed earlier. Be what, 3 off lethal right now?
You're good on this number thing.
I like numbers.
Never looked at numbers.
All right, so if Shubox goes for Flanking Strike and takes some trades, he is not technically dead.
Yeah.
He's going to need to draw something like a Rexar afterwards.
Yeah, this pain is going to continue from Purple here. He's got 0 mana Corridor Creepers and Purifying Walls and Raid Leaders. It is looking like Purple's going to get there to me.
I mean,
Oddly enough, for a guy who played Level Up on 6 minions on turn 5, he looks like he's going to get it done.
To be honest, there was some merit for Shubox to play the Hunter's Mark that turn in order to set up a Rexar play. But it looks like, you know, Purple's even being determined enough to try and make sure that Rexar does not end his day at all. You're Purple here. I have to imagine you push this face. I guess not. I think it's fair to trade into this, actually. I think maybe going face a little overzealous.
Yeah, there's a world where your Corridor Creeper doesn't want a 5-2 hitting it, I guess, or... I mean, yeah.
Well played.
Shubox giving it up, and Purple gets it done, but not without a bit of a scare along the way.
Yeah, that was a bit scary for Purple. He almost lost that game. That was very close. That was a bit scary, but I like how Purple just managed his hero power very well. Just want to make sure he got that in every turn, and eventually, you know, Level Up came down, and Level Up said, "You know what, Purple? You're going to win this round."
I think so too. Shubox shaking his head there, but I don't think he's got anything to be embarrassed about. I thought he put up a good fight there.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of things here and there they could have cleaned
the
up.
The trading in the mirror match in particular seemed a little bit shaky, but felt he put up a good performance. First on stream, didn't crack up. Seems good.
Yeah, overall, I think Shubox has to be proud. Going up against a Titan like Purple on the first round is very daunting. But I think he took it really well. Took it to Game 5. There's nothing to be down about, and still, do really well in this tournament. You lose one round. That's why we have Swiss.
Right.
You're going to be playing 9 rounds of Swiss. Just because you lost one doesn't mean you're out of the count.
And you lost to Purple. Your tiebreakers might not be that bad.
Exactly, yeah. No tiebreakers. That's a very important part. Purple will carry those tiebreakers.
Could be a high score needed, though, here. There's over 200 players here in Atlanta, so you're looking at 7-2, really, to have a chance. So he's got one more life left, but obviously you don't want to go 0-1. Nobody does, and it is a bad time to lose your first one. But if you're going to lose it, you lose to Purple.
Yeah, but I do believe we have more Swiss coming up. And I believe we're going to be taking a short break before we get into Yo It's Flow versus Crane. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.